Halal, Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, as well as honor to the men under the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to elect and those who hope to be of that number. Got a few articles, I'm just going to read a little bit from each. Max passports. WHO, World Health Organization, expert, hopefully they name the expert, warns unmaxed, quote, will not be able to travel as widely, unquote. So they're already telling you there's going to be travel restrictions on those. They're hinting at the fact that there's going to be travel restrictions on those who take the max. Max passports have been suggested as a way of using the max effort to help restart travel. However, concerns have arisen about whether they may, quote, discriminate, unquote, some people. It will. A WHO expert has said this is the, quote, reality, unquote, of the situation. According to some experts within the travel industry, max passports would be one way to opening up the world once again. Dr. David Navarro, special envoy for the World Health Organization, WHO, believes, quote, some system for crown will emerge, unquote. However, he, as in Dr. David Navarro, special envoy for the World Health Organization, warned the reality of these inoculation documents these max documents would mean travel may not be opened up as quickly or as widely for people who have chosen not to, or have not been able to access the Pharmak. Speaking on ITV's Good Morning Britain, he said, quote, that is a reality, unquote. So he's saying those who refuse to take thingy, don't have access to the Pharmak, they're not going to be able to travel as freely as those who have taken it. And the men of the Lord have warned us of this and filtered it through scriptures. Those men who go out there in the house of Bower Street preaching week in and week out diligently. The Telegraph. Max passports will be difficult, as in hard to resist, whether we like them or not. Even if the government doesn't mandate proof of max, businesses will ask for it themselves. I have before me on my desk a small rectangular card that confirms that I have had the Crown Max. PISA/BTEC if you're interested. This is Philip Johnston, the article writer who put this up. Contains the batch number and has a space to be filled in when I have the second jab. It also suggests that I should, quote, make sure to keep this record card, unquote, in my wallet. Doubtless many readers of this newspaper have these documents. Are they our passports to a pint? Our tickets back to the theatre? Our get out of jail free cards? Lockdown is a prison term. Should they be? Wow. That's all I can read because they're telling you to subscribe. Sky News. Crown. Bojo rolls out max passports for trips to pub. So if you want to go over a drink at your local pub, hey, you might need these max passports. But the Prime Minister says he believes it is inevitable. Remember, inevitable means impossible to avoid. But the Prime Minister said he believes it is impossible to avoid that some kind of jab passport for international travel will be introduced. Oh yeah, it will be. You already know that. Prime Minister Bojo said he has no plans to introduce so-called max passports for activities like going to the pub. BS. Health and Secretary Matt Hancock told Sky News the UK government was working with other countries to investigate whether Crown immunity passports may be necessary, may be needed in the future. And speaking in London late second. And speaking in London later on Monday, Mr. Johnson said he felt it may become, quote, inevitable, unquote, for such schemes to enable foreign travel to open up, but he said he had no plan to introduce them for domestic activities. He added, quote, I think inevitably there will be great interest in ideas like, can you show that you had a max against Crown, in the way that you sometimes have to show you had a max against yellow fever or other diseases in order to travel somewhere. I think that is going to be very much in the mix down the road. I think that is going to happen, unquote. Then he says, like, he doesn't think there's going to be max passports that allow you to go, say, to the pub or something like that. But yes, you're going to need it just to go out, just to travel around freely, just to take a walk. Because they're going to be putting people who refuse to take the pharmacia on home arrest, or throwing you into a camp with guards, in a detainment facility, a concentration camp, a FEMA camp, all sorts. Camp pursuant to Revelation 2:10. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. The Mirror, Daily Mirror. Max passports explain how travel jobs and pubs in UK could be affected. Bojo says you won't need a max passport to go to the pub. We saw that. They quoted him on the Sky News article. Here. Here it is. But I don't think we will have in this country, as it were, max passports that allow you to go to, say, the pub or something like that. So they're right about that. Max passports explain how travel, jobs and pubs in UK could be affected. They were right in saying that's what Bojo said, because he did. Bojo says you won't need a max passport to go to the pub, but they're being looked for foreign holidays. So say goodbye to international travel. If you were thinking about going to Spain and you're in the UK or in some other country other than Spain, I'm just using that as an example, then you can't travel unless you take this pharmacia. And things could get pretty complicated once private companies get involved. Yeah, the private companies are going to be pushing the narrative. They're going to be pushing for you, after all this Max and Crown BS, there's going to be the microchip implants. They're going to be telling you need to mark the beast to work for me. You're going to need to mark the beast for you to use my services. And if you don't have the mark the beast, you won't be able to. First, it's going to be this max though. You don't have the max, well, I can't work with you. You can't use my services. First, they were discriminatory and wrong. Then the government started talks on them. Yesterday, Bojo's deputy suggested you need them to go to the supermarket, but today the PM contradicted him and said you won't need them for the pub. When it comes to max passports, you'd be forgiven for being pretty confused lately. Will we have them or not? Will they be from government or private firms? Will they help me go to the pub or get a job? And will they be legal? You're going to need it for your job. If you currently got a job, that job is going to require you to have the pharmacia. If you're looking for a job, the ones recruiting you, your employer, or if they're going to be like, well, you need the pharmacia. And if you refuse, then you won't get the job. They won't, take you to the next stage of your application, your look for a job process. With 1 in 4 UK adults already getting their first dose, these questions are going to become crucial very quickly. In some ways, it's quite simple. Bojo, on a visit to a Max Centre today, insisted you won't need one for a trip to the pub. Sure. Never trust that enemy. The Times. Max passport for shops could happen, says Dominic Raab. Shops and restaurants could require customers to show Max passports under plans being considered by the government, the Foreign Secretary has suggested. Dominic Raab said that the government was considering using Max passports at the domestic or local level. His comments appear to put him at odds with number 10, which has repeatedly ruled out using them within the UK. The government is working on plans for the use of Max passports to enable international travel. It's going to be to move around, just to do anything. Things you usually do, you know, going out and about, go to work, go to the shop, go to the pub, go to another country, hell, even another city. So yeah, I'm just going to get 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Naima.
Strong's G 3540. Naima.
And mental perception, thought, and evil purpose. That which thinks, the mind, thoughts or purposes, a perception, i.e. purpose. And his purpose, the evil purpose he has, is that NWO, that total control over people and having them microchipped. Okay? And another one of his devices is the mainstream media outlets, all these guys over here. Okay? And you know, the news channels like BBC, Channel 4 News, ITV News, CBC, CNBC, ABC, Fox News, all those guys, they're all saying his devices. And you can't lack knowledge regarding his devices, otherwise they'll get you, they'll deceive you. Because these guys are going to say, oh, well, you know, the government said, you won't need to go pub. You're like, oh, okay, but then you're going to need to go to pub. The government says this thing is going to protect you, and then you're like, oh, okay, and then it doesn't protect you, and so on. And this government is going to keep you in the dark. It's going to keep you in a, what's it called? You're not going to be on guard. You're going to be off guard. You're not going to be on your guard. Your guard is not going to be up if you let Satan get an advantage of you using his devices. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices. We know his evil purpose is that NWO, which he wants established throughout the whole earth. He wants everyone to get, as many people to get microchipped. You know, the temptation is when the microchip, the mark of the beast is made mandatory. Mandatory means without option. So yeah, more could be said, but you can see Max passports are coming, regardless of what the government says. Yeah, hopefully this video was edifying. Until next time, Shalom.